James, the New York City public advocate. In local races, NYSUT endorsed Assemblyman Phil Palmisano and Assemblyman Joe Giglio. Spectrum News made a point of looking at the fact that there was no endorsement for Governor Andrew Cuomo or any of his opponents or any candidates in the lieutenant governor's race, Kathy Hochul or Jermaine Williams. Governor Andrew Cuomo's been getting it from all sides lately. The governor's longtime local political supporter, Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan, will be coming up on the Newsmaker show in about 30 seconds here on AM 1480 WLEA. I'm Brian O'Neill.
They're brought to you by Stearns Poultry Farm Stores. When people in this area say chicken, they think Stearns. Stearns Poultry Farm Stores with 2 locations, Seneca Street, Hornell, and Route 244 in Alfred Station. The best chicken in these parts. We're going to see a combination of clouds and sun for today, and there could be a few widely scattered showers still around. High temperature mostly between 80 and 85. Maybe a few showers around during tonight. Otherwise, periods of clouds will continue. Temperatures cooling back a bit, 62 to 66 by early Friday morning. Friday, just a slight chance of a shower, otherwise a dry day with a mix of clouds and sun again. High temperature near 80. We drop to the upper 50s on Friday night. Saturday, nice start to the weekend, partly sunny and a bit over 80 by then. Mostly sunny, low 80s coming up on Sunday. And then by Monday, a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms, 80 to 85. This is meteorologist Gary Best.
Right now, 70 degrees.
Next on AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show. Here's Brian O'Neill.
And as advertised and promoted throughout the morning, we have Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan on the line, live with us. Shawn, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Brian. Thanks for having me, and I apologize for being on the phone.
No apologies necessary. Wanted to have you on because, just in the newscast alone, and that's even before you get to the talk show guests, there's been a lot of criticisms of Governor Andrew Cuomo. We read off the statements from his Democrat opponent, Cynthia Nixon, and Republican opponent, Mark Molinaro. Wanted to have you on because we know you've been a longtime supporter of Governor Cuomo. We've heard a lot about, what the governor's doing wrong, and I wanted to get your response to that, and also, what's he done right?
Well, you don't have to look too far up Seneca Road and see the development of a $62 million hospital and a $20 million plus medical arts center, which equates to a medical village. If it hadn't been for Governor Cuomo, rural health care in southern Steuben County and eastern Allegheny County would have been decimated. We have a growing community, and without health care here, without a hospital, how can we justify our economic growth? So right there is reason enough to support the governor, because without his support for that funding for the hospital, it never would have happened. Without his support for rural health care, not just in our region, in our community, but throughout western New York and the North Country. I mean, there have been a lot of hospitals that would have closed. But because of the policies of this governor and his health department, he is protecting rural hospitals and helping them survive and thrive in a very difficult environment. He's also protecting the Affordable Care Act in New York State, taking strong measures to make sure the actions by the Republican Congress and President Trump don't hurt the people that need health insurance the most, and that's those on the Affordable Care Act and those on the New York State insurance platform. It's important. Just recently, his administration cut in half or by 2/3 some of the requested premium increases by insurance companies because they anticipate, not because it's happened, but because they anticipate, because of the the revocation of the health insurance mandate. They anticipate younger people not getting health insurance, choosing to go uninsured, and they say that'll skew the rates and make things and medical costs go up. I mean, that was a mistake of the Republican Congress and never should have happened. It was just another attempt to dismantle Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. The governor has taken strong actions to make sure that doesn't happen. So he's protecting the people that need it most. The average working person, the working poor, those people who work several jobs and rely upon the Affordable Care Act for health insurance. You know, it could just within the blink of an eye, a person could lose a job and lose their insurance. And where would they turn to? They could turn to the Affordable Care Act and the New York State insurance platform here in this state, because the governor has moved to protect it. So there's two major reasons right there. But also, he's been such an instrumental part of Alstom and helping Alstom grow. He came here in December of 2016 and with a check for $30 million to support Alstom's efforts in their capital improvements to undertake the next generation high-speed rail. You know, in the last several years alone, employment has gone from about 500 at Alstom up to about 870, moving up to 1,200 people. That's just locally. Not to mention the positive impact it's had on TTA and ATM and the other suppliers in our region and our community that serve Alstom. So right there, I think anyone who is intelligent enough to understand the impacts of the governor's actions and what it's been for our community is reason enough to support him. I know the governor isn't popular. I think a lot of people think he's abrasive, and I know a lot of people don't support him because of the SAFE Act. But name me one person that's lost access to a gun under the SAFE Act. It's common sense legislation. It wasn't aimed for the responsible gun owner. It wasn't aimed to remove guns from anyone's possession. It was aimed to protect people of New York State. And I think the SAFE Act has had that effect. And he's much maligned for that, but I think he's probably a profile in courage, because he is one of the politicians that has courage enough to stand up to the strong lobby and bullying of the NRA. And I think I admire him for it. I don't begrudge anyone owning a gun, and I don't begrudge people from wanting to have a gun for personal protection. But I also think there should be safeguards and responsibilities for gun owners to make sure they don't fall into the wrong hands, and keep the constituents and the citizens of the state of New York safe.
Now, one of the there's two big recent criticisms of Governor Andrew Cuomo. One is that he was wrong. The upstate Republicans say that Cuomo was wrong to pardon the 24,000 prisoners. And two is the argument back and forth that the governor had with reporter Zach Fink from New York One, which is owned by Spectrum. Let's start out with the pardoning of the 24,000 ex-prisoners.
Well, first of all, in our criminal justice system, if people serve time in prison, they come out, they have paid their debt to society, but they also have the stigma of having a previous conviction. And because you have to reveal the fact that you had a previous conviction, whether it be a misdemeanor or a felony, you sometimes are singled out and not hired. I mean, employers are reluctant to hire convicted felons, no matter whether it was violent or not violent. And most of these, in my understanding, that most of these pardons were for non-violent, criminal offenders, people that did not perform any violence towards another person, and that it clears their record convicted felons can't vote, but that's a misnomer too, because if you're a convicted felon, you can apply to have that restriction waived, and you can regain your right to vote. So I think them sending out the governor saying that this was just a ploy to get 24,000 new voters, I think that's bogus, and they all know it. It is crazy season. It's political season, and the governor is leading in the polls, and he has tremendous resources to run a credible campaign. So they're taking a shot at him for anything that comes up, whether it be his opponent in the Democratic primary, Cynthia Nixon, or whether it be Molinaro. So that's to be expected, those type of attacks. But, if people would stop and think about it, it's much ado about nothing.
We're going to take a quick break. We're talking with Steuben County Democratic Chair Shawn Hogan. Stay with us. When we get back, we'll talk about the mayor's recent editorial about President Trump.
You take flooring for granted, don't you? I mean, if you think about how much wear and tear you put that floor through, why would you even think about buying a cheap floor when you need one? Buy quality flooring from Mullen Factory Direct Floor Covering in Almond. Mullins buys in bulk, and that means you save money on quality flooring. They even offer 0% interest for qualified buyers. Shop over 400,000 square feet of major name brand in-stock flooring. And get it installed now. And no box store wait. Mullen Factory Direct Floor Covering in Almond. Let them floor you.
This is the story of the little boys and girls who did not hire Shawn Stewart, DJ Truth for their party. But seriously, Shawn Stewart, DJ Truth can make your next family get-together or company event a big success. Shawn Stewart, DJ Truth, plays all kinds of music for all occasions. Call him to book your next party or event at 661-7658. 661-7658. 661-7658. You hear Shawn Stewart mornings on Fun 92.1.
On 92.1 with Shawn Stewart. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
And you can have him to your next birthday party, family get-together, or company event.
My name is Shawn Stewart, also known as DJ2. Thank you so much for being here.
To book your next party or event, 661-7658. Shawn Stewart, DJ Truth, 661-7658.
We're back with Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan. Shawn, recently you wrote an editorial about President Trump. Tell us about that.
Well, basically, I became upset and a little emotional about his attack on LeBron James, a pro basketball player that has, spent his lifetime trying to do good for people within his community. And recently he donated, in cooperation with the Akron, Ohio City School District, millions of dollars to a starter school for underprivileged and at-risk children of all races and cultures. And the school, it would be a charter school supported by all that would be a unique educational opportunity to teach community service and also about selflessness, about service to others, and also that the greatest gift that anyone can give is of oneself is in service to others and community, and it's better to give than receive. And he attacked him, and he questioned LeBron James' intelligence, and it just struck a chord. Here's a guy that was raised by a single mother. At times when he was a young kid, couldn't get to school because it was too far to walk, and he didn't have a bike. But he made something of himself. He's very intelligent. And he attacked them, and he continually attacks people of color. He attacks people, anyone that, whether it's the NFL, the NBA. I mean, he's totally alienated a whole culture. And LeBron said that the president has used sports to divide people, where sports usually is bringing people together. The president questioned his intelligence and slammed him. So I wrote a letter saying that LeBron James has done more for this world than the president ever thought of doing. And, the Trump Foundation never gave anything to anybody. And he's under investigation for his foundation. He already admitted that his Trump University was a sham. And the president just can't tell the truth. And he's a poor role model for our kids. I grew up in history class where George Washington could not tell a lie. Abraham Lincoln was honest Abe. You look to Truman. You look to Ronald Reagan. People that people looked up to. Robert Kennedy, JFK. People that actually made a difference in the world and in the lives of people. And this guy has done nothing to be a role model for our children. And I just worry about the fact that, young people growing up today, they look at this, the president, the leader of the free world, and some of the things he says and does. And where are the leaders of the past? Where is that profile and courage that actually, elevates the level of conversation and appeals to the better angels among us? This president has not done that, and it's to me it's disgraceful and it's very upsetting.
We're talking with Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan. Yes, that was in the Tribune, and we published the Spectator these days, I guess is what we call it, and we published it online to the recent editorial. Wondered if you wanted to weigh in on the Chris Collins scandal that's been breaking for the last, 48 hours. Buffalo Congressman Chris Collins accused of insider trading, and so far he's denying it. Did you have any thoughts there, Shawn?
Well, I think we all knew this was coming. This has been a story in the Buffalo News for the last several years. Jeremy Zeminski, the reporter for the Buffalo News, has been following this and kind of actually broke the story with Collins' involvement in the innate pharmaceuticals. He's been charged. He's been indicted. I believe that a person, before they're, that they deserve a right of trial, and you're innocent until proven guilty, and that's what I feel about Chris Collins. I don't agree with his politics, and that goes without saying, but he's charged. Let the judicial system or the justice system run its course, and we'll see what happens.
In Rochester, WHAM host and Canisteo native Bob Lonsberry is denouncing Collins, calling him a scum, calling him a crook, and demanding that Chris Collins resign. We'll see what Congressman Tom Reed says about that in the 1 o'clock hour today when Reed has his weekly press call with the reporters. On the topic of Congressman Tom Reed, did you have any thoughts on the Reed race with Congressman Tom Reed and Penn Yan Democrat Tracy Matrano?
Well, it's no secret that I don't agree with Tom Reed's politics. I think Tom has been a bit hypocritical in some of his stance. He tries to portray himself as someone that's bipartisan and works with the Tuesday Morning Group in Washington, but then he votes the other way. Tom voted to, strip people of their health care how many times? Tom voted to remove the health care mandate for healthy individuals. He's not voting in the best interest of his constituency and hasn't since he's been in office. And that's what that drives me crazy about not just Tom, but a lot of politicians. They're hypocritical. And politics in Washington is owned by the special interests. That's on both sides. We need a good sea change. And I think this election coming up in November will be a major sea change. You got a lot of people that are they're running for office for the first time that are committed to doing the right thing. I'm not saying Tom Reed is a bad person. I know him. I like him personally, but he's a bad congressman, and he hasn't represented the interests of his constituency.
Now, State Senator Tom O'Mara, from what I understand, has two Democrat opponents. One is Amanda Kirskisner, and what was the other one's name, Shawn?
Michael LaSalle.
Michael LaSalle. Did you have any favorites in that one?
Right now, I think I'm leaning towards Michael LaSalle. He has some experience as a legislator in Schuyler County. He's been very active in environmental issues in Schuyler County, and in fact, his opposition to the propane gas storage facility over on Seneca Lake, he was instrumental in removing that threat to one of our beautiful, God-given treasures, Seneca Lake. So Mike's, he's an activist. He's an attorney. But he's a smart guy, and he wants to do the right thing. So I'm leaning to supporting and voting for Michael LaSalle in the Democratic primary.
Okay, interesting to know. Talking with Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan live this morning. We started out talking about Governor Andrew Cuomo. There's been many criticisms of the governors lately. We wanted to have Shawn on to defend the governor. Then we talked about Shawn's editorial recently about President Donald Trump and his back and forth with LeBron James. Down to 2 minutes. Any final thoughts, Shawn?
No, I just think that the individuals have a responsibility too. And I think a lot of people will just throw up their hands and walk away and turn off the TV and think that they cannot make a difference. You can make a difference. And what's disappointing to me is that you have, our local elected officials who know that some of the actions of this president, some of the tweets of this president are wrong, but they don't speak up. They don't challenge it. They don't become role models for our children. Our children deserve better than what they're getting from our elected officials. Because when there is wrong, speak up. Bobby Kennedy said, when you see a wrong, try to right it. If you see something that's not going well, try to make it better. And we need a real good class of leadership, whether it be Republican or Democrat or whatever party you be. We have to have people that are committed to people and not themselves. I've always said it's not about self. It's about selflessness. And I think that we need a new generation of leaders who care about the future of this country, that care about its financial well-being, its integrity as far as our elections go. And when you see wrong, speak up and challenge it, and don't sit on your thumbs.
Steuben County Democratic Chairman Shawn Hogan, I want to thank you very much for coming on live this morning.
All right, Brian, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
And please stay on the line. It's AM 1480 WLEA Hornell. Stay with us. Brian Kilmeade shows next.